Hello, welcome to Ready Bet Action. Just myself and Stefan Leco coming to you right after the first opening group stage round of the Euro. So we're going to do a little knockout round show today. Talk about the first of the knockout rounds anyways. So Steve, before we dive into that, takeaways, favorite parts, least favorite parts of the group stages. Surprising, not surprising, whatever.
I think it's crazy that the amount of own goals we've seen, and in key moments, and so like deciding the games. You know, like that Spain-Italy game came down to one own goal. Netherlands loses because of one own goal, and you know that loss for the Netherlands actually ends up being a blessing in disguise because they have arguably a much easier path than France, who finished above them. France meets Belgium, and then Portugal, the Netherlands, Romania, and then maybe a rematch with Austria. So the own goals was crazy. Belgium really struggling was a surprise to me. I know we talked about them on the show that you don't really want to bet on them, but I mean, they had 3 goals disallowed, which, you know, if they were playing anyone other than France, I'd be like, you know what? I think they're better than what the stats show, but it's France. So it's been a fun tournament.
I think that's the takeaways for me is that I think one of them was like Spain. While it's a powerhouse, but Spain sweeping that group was pretty crazy to me. Like essentially the group of death, if there was one, or close to it, was pretty surprising. I think it's interesting to see how it shook out with this new advanced formula they have. Like not only are now you have like a France and Belgium both playing each other despite France winning the group, but then a team that didn't win their group, like the Netherlands, gets to play Romania. Like, because of the way it worked out. I think the other things that are fascinating about the way it all played out is we have teams that probably wouldn't make it to a knockout stage in any other tournament, like Georgia and Turkey, who are now sitting here in a knockout stage and an opportunity to make some noise or like history here. So they shook it up on purpose and they wanted more teams and they got, I think, what they wanted. Maybe not some of the top matchups, but the more teams and more variety advancing, I think, is what the goal was. And it seems like it worked. So.
And it was super fun. I mean, the energy, the excitement, the atmosphere at all these games. What I really liked, too, is that it felt like a festival, like something people were enjoying. It didn't feel – I mean, I know there was a couple of games that the fans got kind of tense with each other. But for the most part, it's just been like a celebration of soccer. And it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. It's been real sad these last couple of days since group stage ended, like having to wait until 4:00 to watch soccer. My God.
Yeah. Copa America has not held me over. It just hasn't been as entertaining. Speaking of, though, we will start off with that pick, and then we're going to go game by game for the Euros. We don't need to talk about Copa too much. I just wanted to get a pick out there. Peru versus Argentina. Give me Peru under a half goal. They have yet to score in this tournament, and they're playing powerhouse and eventual tournament champion Argentina. So I don't think Peru is able to eke out a goal all of a sudden against the best team they've played so far. So that is my favorite pick. That being said, let's move on to the Euros. We're going to try to go in order here. I think I got this right. So hopefully you're listening and able to make your bets in chronological order tomorrow. Let's start with Germany and Denmark. And we each have a pick that are pretty corresponding for this. I guess our picks are kind of like, how do you prefer to play it? And you can take one of our picks or both, whatever. I've really thought this Germany team has been very impressive. I don't know if they've been fully dominant, but like you've just seen them control these games. I think Kroos getting the Champions League Euro back-to-back would be pretty cool. That's just my personal opinion. I like this German team. You in the Netherlands, as a Netherlands fan, probably are not a big German fan. So you tell me what you like and don't like about this.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Kroos. He is currently the favorite to be the player of the tournament, which I think is smart because you think about the narrative aspect of it. They would love to give it to a guy like him or even like Ronaldo. But I don't want to put anything on that. This Germany team has they've looked good. They looked great against Scotland, obviously. Against Switzerland, they we're down and found a way to come back late. So 7 points, top the group. They've looked very comfortable. I really like them. Your angle on this game is a little bit safer than mine, but I'm going to take Germany to win the game. And again, I think it's important, and we should have started off with this before diving into our plays, with it being knockout phase. If you bet money line, that doesn't mean to advance. Those are two different things. You can bet which team you think will advance, but if you take a team on the money line, you are taking them to win in the 90 minutes. If the game goes to extra time, you lose that bet. So important to know. So I'm taking Germany on the money line. So they have to win in the 90 minutes. And I think they're going to score more than 1 goal. So we're going to get that at plus 110. You're playing it a little differently, a little safer. And honestly, I'll probably actually play yours.
Yeah, I'm going to take Germany over 1.5 goals. Look, Denmark had 3 matches so far, 3 draws, and still advanced. So they advanced with 3 points, and they played 3 pretty underwhelming offensive teams against England, Serbia, and Slovenia. That also tells me that they were playing and had a strategy to draw and to do what it took to advance and maybe not to win. You can't play Germany not to play them not to lose, if that makes sense. You can't play Germany like that. And Germany will take advantage at some point. Maybe they don't get a second or third goal until later in the game. But I think they will break through. And so even if Denmark scores 0, this is why we like this, because I think Germany's good for at least 2 goals. So,
yeah, I think that's great. Actually, Eric, I didn't want to correct you earlier. This is actually the game number 2 tomorrow on Saturday. The first game is actually at 10 a.m. Switzerland versus Italy. So
that's right. We don't have
any picks for it, so that's why I think you skipped it. But let's just give a quick prediction for it. Why don't we? What do you think happens in this one? I mean, of course, Italy getting that 98th minute draw against Croatia with that banger to see them through. If they don't hit that, Croatia goes through, and Italy's not here. So Italy real lucky to be here, and they draw this the Switzerland team that we just talked about was up on Germany for a good portion of that game.
I'm going to call this like I called the Croatia game, which only exists in our text thread and not on this show, which is I called Italy and Croatia to draw before the game started. And I would call the same thing for this. And I think Italy does win this, but it's in extra time or in penalties. So that's how I think this game is going. Italy's got a couple injuries going on, and Switzerland is a tough out. And so I do think this is a draw in regulation, win, little extra effort to win for Italy, because they have not been. You were real close to all of your Italy predictions falling apart and them not advancing.
So the show bet is for Italy to make it to the quarterfinals. So we already have a Italy plus 100, which isn't that great. Right now you can get them to advance at minus 145. So technically we did a smart bet because it's worse now than it was when we took it, but not by a whole lot. Not by a whole lot. So we could hedge and take Switzerland to advance at plus 115, but I don't like doing that. I like how you're kind of seeing this game. I also think Italy advances here, but I don't want to put any more money on this game because we already do have that future bet on Italy to go through.
Yeah, and I mean it could just work out, just not the way we maybe not the way we thought it was gonna work out. So all right, let's move on to the third game of the day. That's England versus Slovenia.
This is actually on Sunday morning, so it's the next day. But yes, it's the third game, but this one starts Sunday. Yes.
England versus Slovenia. I don't have any picks or thoughts on this game. I honestly probably searched for 15 minutes on what's a pick that I can have where I think you got it, where England is simultaneously very disappointing but still wins this game. And I think you nailed it. So why don't you give us your pick?
Yeah, so Slovakia famously has a very stout defense. I mean, there's a reason they were able to beat Belgium in that opening fixture. England, though, despite what everyone is saying and despite all the panic and the craziness that is British fandom and media, England is I shouldn't say British because that is more than just England. Anyway, England fans are crazy. They demand so much more from this team, but this team continues to win. They haven't lost. They've given up very few goals. So I am feeling a little bit optimistic on this England team, just given the fact that they've only given up 1 goal. Yes, I know they've only scored 2, but I think England wins in regulation. The problem for them hasn't been getting the lead. The problem for them has been that they play far too defensive after going up. So we're going to take England on the money line and less than 4 goals to be scored total in this match. We get that at minus 145. England can win this 3-0, 2-1. All those options are still in play. 3-2 and we're in trouble. 4-0, we're in trouble, that kind of thing. But I don't think England's putting up more than 2 anyway. But this way,
I think you'd be crazy to say that England wins this in any other fashion than 3-0, 2-1, 1-0. Like,
yeah, I don't see a 3-1 or something like that. So, that's how I'm going to play it. I like it because we could still have a fun, offensive, exciting game, and you still hit this. It's minus 145, so you are paying a bit of juice on it. But I think it's a good play. I'm excited to see if Southgate kind of listens to all the crazy people in the world and switches up his lineup, or if he's just going to stick with what he's been doing to get here. I think it's a little bit of both. I think we do see a little bit more of Phil Foden moving forward, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Well, let's go to the next one. I would say I don't have a pick on this, but Safe actually vetoed my pick on the Spain versus Georgia match, and I'm conceding it to him under the condition that if he's wrong and my pick, which was pro Spain, actually happens, I get veto power over one of his picks in the future. So I'm conceding to him as the soccer expert. Tell us why you actually are. You're not pro Georgia to win, but you're more pro Georgia than I am. And I was very gung-ho Spain after sweeping that group.
Yeah, I just think this Georgia story isn't quite being done written yet. And I'm also fine for us just both to not bet this game at all.
We're good.
But what I want to see here is I think Spain, we're going to go to total under 2.5 in this match. I don't think Spain is winning this by putting up a bunch of goals. I think they win this 1-0. I think maybe a 2-0, 2-1, something like that. But I'm going to fade Spain scoring an awful lot. That's just not how they like to play. They're going to have, 78 to 84 possession. They are going to pass the ball all over the pitch. Georgia's going to play a low block and try to hit them on a counterattack. And I think it's just going to be not a frustrating game for Spain. I think they'll be very, in control, but it could get dicey. I could see this, my other play that I'm playing personally, and I don't know if I want this to be a show bet. You can tell me what you think. Is Georgia plus 1.75 on the Asian handicap. Now, what that means is you're both betting Georgia plus 1.5, and you're betting Georgia plus 2. So half your bet is going to plus 1.5, half of it's going to plus 2. That just means you get half your money back if it pushes. So I think Georgia can keep this. I think this ends up being a 1-0 game is kind of how I'm reading this. And then this Georgia plus 1.75 would hit. If they would lose 2-0 or 3-1, whatever, I would get half my wage back. So that's kind of how I take. I know you like Spain, did a little bit more maybe than I do. So what was your take on this game? Because I think it's valuable for people to hear what you're thinking here too.
I think I was just so impressed with how good Spain was in their group round. I was like, I was going to ride the momentum and just have them keep rolling against a lesser team here. They got a good matchup against Georgia. So what was my pick? My pick was
I think it was Spain minus 1.5.
Yep. So I could see them. I saw them winning like 2-0, 3-1 kind of a situation. So that's why I like. That's how I think the game's going to go. And honestly, it really varies with your plus 1.75 pick. The total goals could very well be under 2.5. Well, I guess not. It has to be 1-1. Yeah, our math just doesn't add up, and we disagree, and that's okay.
All I know is the play I like the most in this game is just Spain under 2.5. And the reason I'm not taking the full game total under is because Georgia's not getting a whole lot, so the number's not really worth it. But I liked how it shaped out, just kind of honing in on Spain. And again, not because I don't think they've got a good team. I just don't think that's going to be the style that they're going to be going for, because they rarely do.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this next game, though, Eric.
It'll be fun. Let's talk about Belgium and France. I told you I was surprised to learn that Belgium's primary language is Dutch, although it's split pretty well with French. So, that's pretty exciting. We're going to have two teams speaking the same language, or at least part of them. And let's talk about Belgium and France real quick. I think I do have a pick since I haven't had one the last two games, really. I'll dive into mine first. Give me Belgium and France a first half draw at -110. France has been sluggish in the first half. And every time, every game I watch to France, the announcers at halftime, wait till France gets going. And they just haven't looked on their game. I know Mbappe didn't play the second game, but I just think that Belgium also has been keeping things, tight. So I don't know. I think a first half draw, even at 0-0, if you want to go bet the exact at 0-0, I actually think that's what's going to happen in this game. So I really like a first half draw, whether it's 1-1 or 0-0. So
that's great. I think 0-0 is a fun call. Get decent money. Crazy that between both teams have only scored 2 goals and have only allowed 1 goal through 3 games. So there's only 1 goal on average taking place in these games to begin with. Yeah, I think Mbappe is going to get going now that his had a little bit more time to recover from that broken nose. I hope so. I've got him at over 3.5 tournament goals, and he's only got 1 so far. But I'm going to take France on the money line versus Belgium at -110. This to take place in regulation. Again, I just think France is still my favorite to win the tournament. Yes, they're on a tougher path, a tougher journey than they'd like. They haven't really hit stride yet, but they can flip the switch at any time and remind us why they are the best team. One of the best, top 5 teams in the world. And so I don't know if it happens this game, but I think they get enough done in this matchup to get to the quarterfinals and probably face Portugal. But this number just to me just seemed too low. I liked it an awful lot at -110, pretty much even money. If you want to look at France just to advance, it's all the way down to -230. So it just seems like you have to pay way too much.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I'd rather just hope they win in the 90, than.
Yeah. And anything but that's why I like the money line, because it's France at any point against any European team can go and beat them handily,
I will say this is kind of an auto play for me, just like what we do with Miami, what we did with Miami when Messi was playing. But if France is ever money line is close to -130 or better, I just take it. It's just a rule. And it burned me when they drew the Netherlands, but they honestly should have scored 2 goals in that game. They got very unlucky. Griezmann could not finish. So I think, I just think money line on France when it's close to even. It's just it's an auto play for me.
I love that. Sorry, I'm getting us to our next one here. Let's talk about the Portugal-Slovenia game. I have the pick here. This is really a pick kind of against Portugal's defense. So Portugal lost their last game with Ronaldo playing to Georgia 2-0. So Portugal and Slovenia, both teams to score. I think it's very unlikely that Portugal doesn't score. So there's also in the group stages, they gave up 2 to Georgia, 1 to Czechia, Czechia.
Czechia. Yes.
Czechia. And they didn't allow Turkey to score. I'm not super concerned about that. That one. I just like the idea of both teams to score being plus money, and we know I love plus money. So I think honestly the one Georgia being able to get 2 goals on them is what's really pushing me over the edge here. That Slovenia, you can get 1, guys, right? We can get 1 here.
and Šeško, the striker for Slovenia, has been fantastic this tournament. He hasn't turned it into a bunch of goals, but he's hit the woodwork a couple times. He's been playing really, really well. This tournament has seen a lot of goals. A lot of these both teams to score have hit. I almost think it's worth what we do with first half unders in March Madness, just both teams to score for these games where, it's not the England game, I think, aside, but it's been hitting an awful lot. I love this play.
Absolutely. All right.
I don't have anything for that. I think when it's all said and done, I think Portugal advance. I could see it going to penalties though. Honestly, I could also see Portugal winning 3-1. It's such a crazy team. And again, one that looked really, really good until they didn't. So it's like, wait, yeah, hard to know. And anyone who tells you they know what's going to happen with these is full of shit, because this tournament has been wild.
My worry with my picks, if I'm going to just have a moment of transparency and vulnerability on this show, is that a lot of my picks are using the group stage as a predictive measure for the knockout, and that's not necessarily how that goes. So
it is until it isn't, right? Like for some games it will be, and for some it won't.
It is a piece of data that I'm using, but knockout stages can be really funny, and I don't necessarily think it's always predictive. So, use the data that you feel comfortable with. Speaking of, tell us why you hate your home country so much and why you're betting against them.
So the Netherlands face Romania. The Netherlands, my prediction for them was to get to the quarterfinals, which would be a great tournament in theory, but do it in a very unconvincing, frustrating manner. And that is exactly what has taken place. That loss to Austria was embarrassing on so many levels. And I think that Koeman, the coach for the Netherlands, has realized that the starters that he needs to put in have to become more consistent. He needs more creativity. You can't rely on some of these players. So I think we'll see a stronger lineup than what we saw versus Austria, which is going to be very, very good. However, the Netherlands just don't. I know we've got amazing talent on our defensive line. Dumfries, Van Dijk, De Ligt isn't even starting. De Vrij's been. He's one of Inter Milan's better players defensively there. And of course, on the left we've been going with Ake from Man City. So great defense, but we leak goals. I know France couldn't score against us, but again, like I said earlier, they should have. We will give up a goal to Romania, and the fact that you can get that at just about even money screams value to me. I'll be honest, I am going to play, because I always do this, Romania to advance is at plus 320. That seems crazy. The Netherlands are like the second most favorite team to advance.
Yeah.
And I could see, I told them, I was talking to my dad the other day and my kids, and I was like, the Netherlands has the talent to win against anyone on the field. They also have the capabilities and the lack of maturity at times that I think they could lose to anyone as well. So I'm not betting against the Netherlands, because that's what I usually do, and I always lose a shit ton of money doing it. But I am going to bet for them to give up at least one goal. I think this probably goes into extra time, and the Netherlands probably wins 2-1 in extras. But I do think Romania get on the board.
Yeah, I'll be on this one for sure. I agree with all of your takes. I'm cheering for the Netherlands. I really am. But we need to see something from them if they're going to all of a sudden round into form to be a competitor in this tournament.
All right. I will say, taking them to make it to the semifinals right now at plus 110, don't do that. Don't do that at all.
I would wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the last game. We have the same pick for this matchup, I believe, or I put my own pick in here twice.
We have the same.
We have the same pick. We're taking Austria on the money line in regulation versus Turkey. Love the minus 115. Love how Austria played in their group stage. They were really impressive. Where, honestly, I don't even know all the players. You could probably talk about the players more on these teams. Turkey had a win. They got through on 6 points. However, one of those was a team that had a red card. They beat Czechia. I keep saying it wrong. They beat them while they had a red card. So, like, a little bit of a technicality there. I think Austria keeps rolling. They looked so good in that game against the Netherlands. I know the Netherlands look bad, but Austria.
But there's a reason for that.
Yeah, Austria looked good in their group stage. Let's keep it rolling. They can beat, like, they probably got the best, quote unquote, easiest matchup in this second round against a team like Turkey. So,
yeah, and I think Turkey might be without one of their star midfielder, the guy for Inter Milan. That's going to be a huge loss for them. Austria play with Ralf Rangnick, which sounds like a freaking villain's name from Mike Marvel. he is the godfather of high press football. So Turkey is going to be under pressure from the second that the ball touches their foot on the back line, and that's going to be a real problem for them. This Turkey team is super fun. Güler is really good. He plays for Real Madrid. Yildiz is a young forward that his first game ever, he scored against Germany in a game winner. Which is super exciting. So this Turkey team is a lot of fun. I think this Austria, how they play the game tactically, you're not going to get a coaching advantage against them, and I already think their players are better. Baumgartner is someone to watch if he gets a start. He's an incredible talent for Red Bull Leipzig. I think he's going to have a really good rest of the tournament. Someone who I'm actually tempted to put a couple bucks on for player of the tournament is Savitzer, the midfielder for Borussia Dortmund. He plays much more attacking for Austria. He scored against the Netherlands, a beautiful goal. I could see him scoring one or two more. If Austria makes it to the semifinals, which they would play the Netherlands if they win this, or Romania. That's a pretty easy path for them, considering that they've already beat the Netherlands once. You can get them to make it to the semifinals at plus 300. I'm putting some money on that.
Love it. Love it. All right. Let's not forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, and wherever you get your podcasts.
And we actually posted on TikTok recently. So, hey, we're back after 2 months off.
Talking like crazy here soon, I promise. I think the best way to do this, since we just have them in order, why don't you just run us down all of our picks for the rundown? Now we won't mix them up or anything, but if you just want to run us through all the picks, Stefan, in a quick format for anyone who got real bored and wanted to fast forward to this part of the show.
First, we have a bonus pick from the Copa America. We're going to take Peru under half a goal. You could even say Argentina to win to 0 if you want to up that money just a bit, but it's not going to do much. Then let's jump over to the Euros. We are going to take Germany on the money line and over 1.5 versus Denmark. We're also just going to play Germany over 1.5 goals at minus 120. We're going to take England on the money line and under 3.5 goals against Slovakia. We think they win it, but it could be tough. Georgia, Spain. We're going to go with Spain to score fewer than 3 goals. We get that at minus 145. If you're feeling extra spicy, you could jump on the Asian handicap, take Georgia plus 1.75. That means half your bet is Georgia plus 1.5, and the other bet half is Georgia plus 2. So if Georgia lose by 2, you push. In the Belgium-France exciting game, we are going to take for a draw in the first half. We think that one gets off to a pretty cagey, slow start, but we think France will win it in the end. France on the money line, minus 110. Moving on to Portugal, Slovenia. We're going to take both teams to score, as has been the trend this tournament, at plus 135. We're going to take Romania to just score at least 1 goal versus the Netherlands at minus 110. That defense has been leaking goals, ever since before Koeman was even there. We're going to go ahead and take Austria, who are one of our dark horses here. We're going to take them on the money line versus Turkey. That rounds out our Euro bets and, of course, our one Copa America bonus bet.
That's perfect. Let's go have a fun soccer weekend, everybody, and we will see you next time.